Coffee Cuties, we are back with another banger. So today we are going to be discussing the talking point that caramel is the new brown paper bag test. So let's just get right into it. So when I first noticed this topic was trending, I have to have an honest moment and say I wasn't sure how to address it. I wasn't sure if I was just going to debunk narratives, false narratives, and hypocrisies, which I plan to do in part 2. But today, for some reason, I felt like I needed to give a little bit more compassion towards Black women, dark-skinned Black women in particular, because there are a lot of deep-rooted issues and pain that need to be addressed. So this made me think of Destiny's Child popular song called No, No, No. So part 1 was a little bit more slow and sexy, like make them say no, 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 no. And then part 2 was like more crunk. Boy, you know you want me, I can see it in your eyes. So this is going to be more of the part 1. We're going to really take our time and dive deep into this topic. But before I dive deeper, I want to read a quote that I got from Ayanna Van Zant. And she says, "It is in our cellular memory as people of color how our skin tones and shades were used to separate in and validate us." I thought that was very powerful. But I'm going to start with a little bit of a history lesson on what the brown paper bag test was. So the brown paper bag test was a colorist discriminatory practice used to determine a person's access to privileges based off the skin color either matching or being lighter than a brown paper bag. There was many different tests throughout history that I'm going to briefly highlight, such as the blue vein test. That was to determine your whiteness. So basically, if you look at your arms and you can see blue veins, that was basically to determine that you qualify to have some type of white admixture or to qualify as whiteness. There's just been all type of different things throughout our history. Like I said, our history and heritage is very deeply rooted. So there is conversations about sororities, such as AKAs allegedly not allowing access to people who were darker skinned at a certain point. There was also the comb test where it determined whether or not you had good hair. So basically a person will run a comb through your hair, and if it went straight through, you had quote unquote good hair. And if it didn't, you had what was deemed at the time as bad hair. So when I heard this narrative going viral that caramel is the new brown paper bag test, I couldn't help but just reflect on my own life. So I do have a story time on my page. It was actually the first story time that I dropped. And it was one of the biggest motivations to make me go ahead and take the leap and start YouTube. So I'm going to briefly summarize that. I was at my nephew's party, and somehow the conversation came about features with his grandma on his dad's side. So I have high cheekbones, and she was acknowledging my beauty, I guess, in my high cheekbones. And I was like, yeah, it comes from my mom. My mom has some type of Native ancestry, which, by the way, if you don't know, indigenous people are Black as well. But I'm not sure how to trace it, etc. And she went on to tell me that I wasn't Black enough to be any type of Native American, and that I am caramel at best, actually. She identified me as caramel. I think she identified me that way because of my features, because it's undoubtedly that my skin, I classify myself as brown skin. Majority of the year, I am pretty much dark brown, but I can get up to like a medium brown, or I can tan very dark. And I actually had to defend my skin tone and say I'm not caramel. I love being of a darker shade, and I embrace it fully. And it was just so odd to me that I actually had to argue against being put into the caramel category, because all my life I embraced my skin. I'm actually also the darkest one in my mother's side of the family, the siblings that I had growing up within the household, and as well as my mom. They will be deemed as more of a lighter brown, and then my brothers, I have 3 brothers total, they are light skinned. My mom and sister are light brown. But fortunately for me, I didn't feel inferior. My mom did always compliment me on my skin, so maybe it just never was an issue. And to be quite frank, I never really looked at my siblings and realized that I was the darkest one until way later on in life. But I feel like if you're beautiful, you are shielded from some of the isms that some people refer to. And I guess maybe I do fall into that category because some of the stories with colorism, unfortunately I cannot relate to fully. That's just not my experience. Maybe because I grew up in the Midwest versus down south where it seems like it is a more prevalent issue. But I have been asked a lot, like, are you mixed? That is a thing that a lot of people tend to do if they deem you as beautiful, or if you have long hair, for example, or if you don't have dominant features, etc. I actually did a full video on that. So going back to the whole caramel conversation, I definitely feel like featureism plays a role into it. And that actually, I feel like plays a role into how Chili from TLC is perceived. But we're going to get into her in a second. But from me listening to other Black women's stories and really trying to understand our struggles and etc., and really just digging deep into myself as a Black woman and really thinking about the experiences that I either experienced myself or witnessed around me, I realized that the majority of the issues when it comes to colorism in particular, like I state all the time, one, it comes from the male gaze. That's where things like preferences come into place. Competing for a man, that comes into societal pressures of wanting to be chose or married, etc. I also feel like if you grew up in a fatherless home, you're going to seek male validation even more because you did not have that father. So again, it all kind of ties into trying to get the approval of a man. And I also feel like religion plays a factor as well. As we know, like typically in the Black community, we are very religious people, and the Bible does teach you about the importance of marriage, being chosen, etc. And you know, the Bible is taught from the perspective that God is man, etc. Of course, not everyone is religious, so I'm not going to really dive deep into that, but I did want to kind of briefly highlight that before I move on to the entertainment portion. So when Chili went viral about her referring to her skin tone as caramel versus chocolate, I actually was not on YouTube yet, so I never got to address it, but it definitely put social media into a frenzy. And when I was observing that without my YouTube channel, I was confused as to why. So I really had to dig deep within myself and really try to find the answers. So I feel like personally, part of the reason that a lot of Black women, dark-skinned women in particular, was upset by Chili not referring to herself as chocolate, because growing up in the 90s, there wasn't a lot of representation in the media. So I feel like a lot of Black girls clung on to Chili as their representation because that was the only option they had. So for me personally, I always felt that she looked mixed. I definitely, growing up, I always loved to sing. So I was Chili in my quote unquote fake girl group with me and my sisters and my friends and stuff like that. But I didn't think about, oh, I'm picking her because she's the dark one. I just thought she was pretty. I liked her vibe. I liked her style. You know, Left Eye RP to her was a little bit more crazy. And then I feel like T-Boz is always a little bit too laid back. I like kind of like Chili's like sexier, natural type of vibe or whatever. But I, again, always felt that she looked like a mixed woman. But I know a lot of other women did identify with her as a Black woman and a chocolate woman in particular. And she was a representation on being successful despite having dark skin. But I feel like a solution to this will be we have to represent our own phenotypes and allow other people and admixtures to represent theirs. So Chili is a mixed woman and she has the right to express her skin tone as she pleases. But this brings me to another recently viral situation that I did discuss in my Black Women Viral Topics video. And that is, I call her the caramel candy girl. I don't know if she even ever addressed her name or whatever, but she initially went viral for releasing a video of her and her dark-skinned friend. I'm going to have the video playing on silent. Basically saying that they are the baddest dynamic caramel and chocolate duo. And then after going viral, she decided to go out, buy some caramel candy and hold it up against her skin tone to prove that she was in fact caramel, because some people in the comments were saying she was too dark to be caramel. Her and her dark-skinned friend were the same complexion, etc. I found that to be absolutely ridiculous, but I just want Black women to really embrace and love ourselves so things like this don't matter to us one way or another. But after those a couple viral stories or whatever, I have to get into one that actually took me for a loop and really inspired this video. And that is Kelly Rowland. So Kelly Rowland is recently going viral for something that I didn't think would be a topic of conversation, but she is going viral for allegedly bleaching her skin. When I first heard this, I was very disappointed because Kelly Rowland is so beautiful to me. She's absolutely gorgeous, and I highlight her beauty often on my channel. But I had to take a step back and ask myself why. So I did find a video of Kelly discussing colorism and how it affected her. So I am going to drop that video in full context just so we can get a deeper understanding of Kelly. It is a little bit long, but please bear with the video because she drops a lot of good backstory information. And then I'm going to come back with more commentary.
Do you remember the first time you heard the thing that you are referring to as colorism?
The first time I had a little boo friend, actually his grandmother compared me to the color of a paper bag and said that I was too dark chocolate for him and he couldn't date me. And I said, what the hell? I literally was like, what does that mean? And I came home and I talked to my mama T about it. And she said, it's a definition of colorism. And I was like, what is, you know what I mean? It was like that moment.
Okay.
It affected me in a way where I was just always uncertain of how I looked. It started to define what beauty was to me.
Okay.
In the entertainment business, it manifested itself in constant comparisons. When it came to like my skin color, I was hearing everything left and right. Well, you know, she's darker, or she's the darkest one in the group, or she's a really chocolate one. I would always hear that.
Was there ever a time where you thought, maybe I should try a bleaching cream?
I never actually thought to myself, I want to do a bleaching cream as much as it was, I just want to be Mariah Shade. Because that was who I, I was like,
she's gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Yeah. You're dancing around in fields with I was like, life looks beautiful.
We've all seen what's happened over the last couple of years with the Black Lives Matter movement. However, we don't really see much about colorism, but it's a massive problem within our communities.
It's been the said unsaid. I think that it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. And I think that if we make ourselves aware of it, then we can actually move on.
All right, we are back. There is also a video of the singer Brandy and Kelly sitting down having a conversation where I guess back in the day, Brandy used to be kind of like a mean girl or whatever. And Brandy walked up to Kelly and was like, wow, you're so black. I have that story on my, I have that video on my story rather. I'm going to leave it down in the comments so you guys can see it. But I just want to add that because it just shows how she was constantly faced with her color and her skin tone being the topic of conversation. But I also want to address that she first got introduced to colorism when she started dating. So it goes to co-sign what I say all the time, that a lot of this is basically driven by the male gaze. But I also found it to be very disappointing that his grandmother, a woman, would do that to another woman, which was Kelly, a girl at the time. But us as Black women, we really have to be a little bit more gentle with each other. We really need to have each other's back, etc. We have to end this whole colorism thing by not basically passing on these toxic thoughts and processes, etc. But unfortunately, she also addressed that her standard of beauty was the singer Mariah Carey. But I also found that to be interesting because Mariah Carey actually struggled with her own identity being a more white passing biracial. So when Kelly said that it seemed like Mariah Carey's life was basically glitter and gold, I didn't get that perspective growing up. And she also was in a horrible marriage at some point. And, I just feel like she lived the life of a woman. You date, you marry, sometimes things work out, sometimes they don't. But I never looked at her as having any more privilege than Destiny's Child because they both were successful. But I want to also address the fact that Kelly has denied that she has done any skin bleaching. So I also want to be sure to leave that video in before I give more commentary. So I'm going to insert that here and then come back.
So I just landed in LA and I saw that a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, she bleaches her skin. Now I never answer questions like this because I think it's so stupid or even say anything about comments about this. Oh my God, it's like, but I am not the one to bleach my skin, nor do I want to bleach my skin, nor do I have to bleach my skin. I don't even think that it's not for me. So don't go saying stupid stuff like that. You ever thought it could be the lighting? Like this light, what you gonna say, like this streak of bleaching is like crazy right here? Dude, I am still chocolate, forever chocolate, proud to be chocolate. Shout out to all my chocolate girls.
All right, we are back. So I want to add that Kelly has the right to do whatever makes her feel beautiful. And I want to also add that I cannot confirm that these allegations are true or not, but I would be disingenuous if I ignored the obvious changes within her skin tone. I also want to address that some people are alleging that it could be the wig, it could be her summer skin tone versus her winter. As we know, brown skin and dark skin women, our skin, and light skin as well, our skins do vary. And then I want to also address that there is a rumor that she's trying to turn into Beyonce, or this is some type of underlying jealousy that she's always felt towards Beyonce. I don't really see the comparison. Even with her lighter skin, I don't see that she looks like Beyonce. I feel like she's trying to find herself and carve out her own identity, which is something that I feel like Kelly should have done a long time ago, because I feel like Beyonce has advantages in her. She's definitely a beautiful powerhouse. But Kelly also has advantages as well. I feel like Kelly is a little bit more relatable than Beyonce. So, for example, if Kelly was the one who did the hair care line, I would have actually brought it because I feel a more connection to her personally than I do Beyonce. But of course, Beyonce is a powerhouse performer, etc. So I just hope that Kelly can see the beauty within herself and see the talents and all the things that she has to offer the world. And I really hope that the rumors or allegations of her feeling second best against Beyonce are not true. But I also want to address the conversation of skin bleaching, regardless of if Kelly is participating in it or not, because skin bleaching is a real thing. And especially in America, it is often ignored. But I have to be honest, so young girls can basically not fall victim to this and to understand the dangers of skin bleaching. So I'm going to leave another video within this video that explains the danger, and then I'm going to come back with more.
So this young lady has been bleaching her skin for a long time, and I would not advise this. Skin bleaching can be very dangerous, not just for your skin, but also for your overall health. Most skin bleaching products contain hydroquinone, mercury, as well as corticosteroids in varying strengths, but most of the time they actually contain very, very strong corticosteroids. And what these ingredients do is that initially they will give you that lightness or that yellow hue that most people may want, but after a while they actually darken your skin and give you a very uneven skin tone or uneven pigmentation. Especially hydroquinone. Hydroquinone damages the skin permanently. It causes a condition called ochronosis, which is irreversible damage of your dermal fibers. Other things like thinning of the skin, visible blood vessels, increased risk to infections, especially viral infections and fungal infections, as well as super sensitivity of the skin, which may come out as irritation from using most skincare products. If you're using bleaching agents on your body, you can actually have severe stretch marks. While I know that most people use skin lightening products when they're treating genuine medical problems like post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, products that contain mercury actually can cause effects on your liver, on your kidneys, as well as brain side effects. And lately, the use of skin bleaching products has been linked to an increased risk of skin cancer. Really, I will urge people to seek medical as well as dermatological advice if they're dealing with these conditions, and stay away from using skin bleaching agents, because not only is it just dangerous for your skin, but it's just detrimental for your overall health.
This is one of my biggest issues when it comes to the Black women empowerment spaces, by going off on these narratives and saying that we're not the preference, we're inferior because of our skin, and the solution is just to divest and date white men. Divesting is not going to heal the self-esteem of Black women and Black girls. I hate when YouTubers that are of a dark skin, not just in the Black women empowerment spaces, but also YouTubers such as Ostefco, get online and tell the world, oh, I feel like I'm ugly because I'm dark skinned, I don't have pretty privilege. Women are coming online talking bad about dark skin, their 4C hair, etc. We have to stop this. We have to stop embarrassing ourselves in front of the world, because young girls are watching. And I would hate for young girls to fall victim of things such as skin bleaching, especially if they don't understand the harmful side effects to it. So the purpose of this channel is to represent and uplift my phenotype. And by doing so, I must address uncomfortable conversations people are scared to have. I will personally feel disingenuous if I do not address that issues that affect Black women, and skin bleaching is one. I want to end the video by saying, Black women, you are enough. I want Black women to really start loving ourselves and loving ourselves completely. And some people may wonder, what does that even mean to love yourself? So to me, loving yourself means to accept yourself, hold yourself accountable, and do whatever brings you peace and happiness. That's the best way that I can sum it up. Even if this video just helps one girl or 1,000 girls, I would feel like I'm accomplished even if this message is heard by one girl and it changes her mind about bleaching her skin and loving herself. So this also makes me think of the new song by the rapper JT, who is currently charting on the billboards, by the way, for her new song called Okay. She has lyrics in the song. It says, "Cause y'all said I could not do it. Look at my black beep." So it just goes to show that there are so many Black women that are not allowing things such as skin tone to hold them back. We are charting. We are the topic. We are the conversation. We literally are the blueprint. We are the beauty standards. We are the authentic version, and everyone else is just the carbon copy. I find when I listen to a lot of conversations and contests surrounding my phenotype and people in general, regardless of your phenotype, people just want to be accepted and seen and heard. So I want to let Black women know I see you, I love you, and I accept you. So my DMs are always open. If you ever need someone to talk to, I am always here. But be sure to like this video. Leave any and all thoughts down in the comment section below. Again, I don't police the comments because I want us to have a open and honest conversation. Be sure to look out for the part 2 version of it. And like I said, we're going to definitely dive into the hypocrisies and debunk that as well. But I just wanted this video to be full of compassion and understanding. Be sure to subscribe as we're on our way to 2,000 subscribers. Also, be sure to tell a friend because we are lit over here. But until next time, see ya.